It's OlimoLeague time, guys. We're starting it off on a very awkward map. Hope you're gonna enjoy. Here in the top left-hand corner on Nautilus, it's a blue Zerg from Team NV. It's DRG. His opponent in the red instead, from Shopify Rebellion, the man, the legend, the Red Terran, it's Byun. Alright, so you already got the catch, guys. It's Nautilus. It's random spawn location, 4 corners. And it looks like it's not opposite corners this time. It's quotes proximity. It's not proximity like Warcraft proximity, but they're still pretty close. And again, this is not one of those huge 4 players map. This is kind of a shorter map compared to the others we've seen in the past in GSL. This is OlimoLeague. It's 5 maps. All 5 matches are going to be played regardless of a winner in the first 3 or 4 sets of this series. So we're gonna see 5 games eventually. But honestly, I kind of find it pretty difficult for these players to actually just stomp each other with a commanding lead. So I'm expecting to see a very close series. Both players going for a kind of a standard opener. We see DRG checking with the overlord for the location of his opponent, immediately moving the other overlord on the other side once he found out where Byun has spawned. So Byun should also have pretty much an idea about his opponent's whereabouts. Seeing the overlord. I'm not sure if he saw the overlord. Probably he didn't, to be fair. And of course, it's Byun. It's a classic. He's going for the 2 Rex before factory, and who knows, maybe we will see even a 3rd one. Wouldn't really be surprised by that at all. He's kind of a master at early marine builds. Also kind of interested in DRG expand pattern, since he decided for these base the triangular one instead of the linear one, which is very exposed to drops, so it makes a lot more sense seeing where his opponent has spawned. Like, yeah, like a drop will be pretty unfair if this is the 3rd base and this is the main of Byun, so it makes a lot of sense for DRG to take the other bases. So we see a factory after the 2nd Rex. We're not gonna see the 3 Rex opener that Byun likes so much in this first game of the series. Looks like the Terran is going for a more common build. Still not very common, but slightly more common. On the bottom side of the map, he's gonna check for any expansion DRG is unsure of, any weird movements from his opponent. Even like hidden tech, even though it's something a little bit more difficult for Terran to do, regardless of their opponent. And DRG already building up a very solid crypt spread, keeping queens on the lookout for anything aggressive his opponent could go for, and something aggressive is definitely coming, with a lot of marines already ramping up in numbers, steam pack almost done, and 2 medivacs ready to transfer those marines in the heart of the Zerg base. Ling is gonna spot what's going on. He's gonna see a lot of marines, and by now DRG is probably gonna know double Evo chamber, the old school answer, something I very much like. Also breaking down those rocks is a very solid maneuver on the side of DRG. Knowing his he shouldn't be too afraid of anything coming from Byun. He's gonna go for the double Evo Chamber, gonna drop down a Spine Crawler, which is very interesting. But of course, the double upgrades is gonna be the most important thing he can do. Just survive this kind of strike from Byun with minimal losses. And then everything will go smooth as silk for the Zerg player. Trying to get a wraparound with his links, will fail to do so. With Byun still not managing to get on creep as much as he wants to. One overload is going to fall to these Marines, steaming forward. It's time for tanks to pop out of those factories and a lair to be started by DRG, with Byun taking control of this watchtower. These crypt tumors are definitely not going to stay. Oh, the acceleration zone is gonna make it very easy for DRG to check for Marines, but of course the high ground and the low ground is gonna help Byun more than he's helping DRG. This was a little bit reckless from the Blue Zerg, but he has so many queens and just one tank is probably not gonna cut it. Byun gonna look to kill more creep before engaging with his full might, but DRG already making great use of the acceleration zone to make a counter-attack and check for stragglers, trying to reach the rest of the army as reinforcements. Meanwhile, Byun is gonna steam on top of these queens, gonna take minimal losses after killing one queen. But of course, DRG is definitely kicking the reinforcements out of this fight. And now Byun is a little bit locked over here, just trying to eat on creep and decrease the expansion of DRG. As far as creep goes, of course. With a third base incoming from Byun and a fourth one incoming from DRG, probably the Blue Zerg is feeling a little bit more confident in his opponent heading into the mid game. So Byun is definitely looking to deal some damage. He has a powerful army, he can do something. DRG making great use of the features of this map to actually kind of work around the army of his opponent. Lots and lots of queens. I doubt they're gonna be enough. He badly needs Banelings to get good connections. Now that tanks are out, the Lings are no longer going to cut it. Now one tank in a very close position to these archery and queens, of course, is gonna be a little bit more difficult for DRG to deal with than the others. Beautiful spreads from Byun, trying to take full control of this plateau. And we can see Byun trading efficiently into queens. DRG still waiting for more Banelings to come out. More Lings and Banelings trying to go for the wraparound. And the full might of the Zerg army is gonna try and collapse on top of the tanks. The Marines retreat into a better position. And the Banelings will fail to find good connections onto those. DRG has held. Wasn't a really efficient trade, but oh my god, Banelings on acceleration zones are a very scary thing. And Byun decides to immediately collect as many Marines as possible and live to fight another day. More units are gonna come out of those factories and barracks. But right now, DRG is feeling pretty fine with +2/+2 starting out. Dropping down even more defenses. And of course, taking full control of this fourth base, already saturated by the Blue Zerg. Lots of spotting overloads to catch any medivac moving to different positions. Of course, this fifth base of DRG is not really in a great spot. It's going to be spotted by some of the army of the Blue Zerg. Meanwhile, creep is being held back by DRG. These poor color are doing a lot of work at keeping these Marines out. Now Byun trying to hit at the fifth base. That's a lot of Banelings in his army. I doubt that Byun can really do something about it. But he's still sharking around with his two medivacs, and of course keeping DRG on his toes is something that he really likes at this point in the game. Acceleration zones are gonna help again DRG to get a wraparound on top of that army. Meanwhile, Byun is gonna fail again to find any real damage over here in the bottom left. But DRG very safely in control of what is going on so far. Beautiful defenses all over the board for the Blue Zerg, while Byun is definitely looking to deal more damage and into the next stage of the game, because right now what he did was far from enough. Infestation Pit being dropped down by DRG, heading into the Hive Tech, with Vipers being the real scare card that DRG can pull out of his hand. It's a lot of lanes and Bane lanes with pretty good upgrades as well. Now Byun really desperately trying to lower the income of his opponent, but DRG very safely defending even his 5th base. Now Byun trying to go for multi-prong attacks, really managing to find weak points in the defense of DRG. Of course, the crit spread is definitely not amazing. The sensor tower clutching it in for the red Terran before the blue army tries to get on top of everything, but yeah, that's just not enough splash damage to stop these army 2 tanks being sieged on the low ground. You don't even need any anti-air because this Liberator is not doing enough. The 2 tanks are going to immediately fall, and look at the Banelings go. It's a lot of losses on the side of Byun. His army was not in a great spot. The orbital command is going to fall. Command center, that's the word. And yeah, Banelings are just doing whatever they want. DRG might have lost a lot of his army, but the Zerg are numberless. And even though he doesn't have a lot of Banelings, he really doesn't need many, because plenty of the army of Byun is just medivacs and tanks. GG gets gold, and DRG clean victory in game number 1. Pretty convincing victory in game number 1 of this series. But it's time for a new story to be told here on 2000 Atmospheres. Here in the top right hand corner from Team Envy, it's a Blue Zerg player leading the series. It's DRG. His opponent in the red from Team Shopify Rebellion, it's Byun. Oh. This Overlord though. Oh, this Overlord though. Good gracious. Yeah, it's only going to be a matter of time. It's not even a really close proxy. Now, DRG is going to have all the time in this world to actually react to it. And yes, his Overlord is going to see it. Oh yes. You're gonna see one Rex. He's gonna retreat to another position. He may even have gone onto the pillar. It wouldn't have been spotted. So another SCV was sent out and then immediately retreated. So Byun will not see the Overlord. We'll just see right now a cute little drone getting into business. Probably just to see what is up. This is the double Rex. Gonna see the Marines shortly. And DRG feeling pretty confident actually. Not going for anything crazy off the book. Probably the distance between his base and the proxy location prompted him into thinking that just having the drones for defense to buy some time was more than enough. It's definitely looking like it. Byun is going to cancel this one bunker, trying to fight back with a single marine that he has, but these drones are pretty damn fast, aren't they? One drone is going to fall, but so is that marine. 2 drones going down. DRG can take these losses. He has Stanlings on the way, and I think he bought enough time. Byun is gonna immediately change his plans and go into Reapers after his failed bunker number 1. And of course, DRG feeling pretty safe with what is up, seeing the Reaper. He's gonna just drone it up for now. With the Queen up into the main, all he needs is speed for his lanes. And he's feeling safe about it. With the Queen, of course, being on the lookout for more Reapers to come. 2 more Reapers in the making indeed for Byun, waiting for more reinforcements before committing to anything aggressive. Lings on the high ground, to block the Reapers from getting into the main while the Queens are in the natural. Looking forward to shoo away the Reapers. Byun is gonna immediately get out of there with his Rex and just transfer them into his main base. Oh yeah, those Reapers, that's not the best fight you can take, isn't it? The Queens are taking their time to get over there, but wow, what a save by Byun, trading with his links very efficiently. There's a second command center in the production for Byun, very aggressively leading to the next stage of the game. Even without a lot of army, he knows he needs to make up for the lack of damage from his proxy. And now the two Rex are gonna land in his base and probably prompt him into a 2-1-1 opener. Even though it's gonna be very much delayed, you can see the Tekla being started immediately out of one of those Rex, and probably a reactor going to be attached to this Rex once it is finished from the factory. Which is probably going to start another reactor actually for the starport. Laren coming for DRG very early, like probably the earliest you can get after this kind of opener. He was forced into. DRG is gonna keep an overload, trying to take a look at this Reaper, and when they are moving around, another overload over here for further scouting later on into the game, and now spotting links being spread on the map as well. It's Banshee instead of Steam, so I got it all wrong, guys. Going to be Banshee, and the reactor is for aliens. Of course, this is just a maneuver for Byun to deal more damage. It's not committing anything really into this kind of strategy. And the aliens are going to be spotted by the Ling sent out. Dealing more damage is of course mandatory for Byun right now, especially with this build path he has decided to go for. Alright, 4 aliens and 3 Reapers. Actually, 3 aliens? I don't know. DRG looking to strike once these units start the fight with the Queens. With a Spire beyond this. He's definitely looking forward to just hold as much as possible and get those mutas out on the map. There's a lot of links on the map already, so you can really take control of his side at least, even against aliens and Reapers. As you can see, the fight is happening over here. It's gonna kill a couple aliens, couple links, sorry, but the real threat is here in the main. No Spur Crawler yet, no Overseer yet, which is kind of a mistake on the side of DRG, but of course he didn't have a lot of resources to do that. The Overseer finally gets in here. Not before 6 drones have been killed by the Banshee. And now even taking a very good trade into the links, Byun suddenly finding the damage he was looking for. There's a Banshee over here. The one in the main is still alive, I think. Yes, it is. And right now, the Overseer is still halfway through, so 2 more drones are going to be killed by this one Banshee. Meanwhile, the aliens and the Reapers ready to strike at the Crypt Tumors, keep the Crypt spread as away as possible from his own side of the map. That was kind of beautiful. Lots of Crypt Tumors being killed by the Terran player, forcing DRG into spending a lot of that energy to get them out. Meanwhile, the Banshee in the main ready to strike again. Oh, just outside of the range of that one Spore Crawler. One shot and it's down. Mutas though, they're on the map now. 2 more drones have been killed, bringing the work account to a tie. DRG is looking to stop this from going on for a little while. Already missile turrets a little bit everywhere for Byun for defense. But of course, DRG is still going to try to get as many kills as possible. Meanwhile, Byun has built quite a powerful army now with a couple medivacs out as well. And the Banshee in the main still dealing damage. 3 more drones are going to fall for DRG after a very solid early defense. He's now taking a little bit too much damage. His worker count is still pretty high, on par with one of Byun, but these armies are forced to be reckoned, especially with Mutas out. Building speed is not done yet, and other Mutas are forced to fight against the Marines, which is something you never want to do, unless your numbers are crazy high. And these Banshees, very obnoxious. One more drone is going to be killed before Byun clocks and gets away from there. Oh yeah, these Banshees is really doing some work. Like the two Banshees from Byun actually do that a lot of damage, like 16 drones down. It's not too shabby on the side of the Red Terran. I think there were 2 drones in the beginning and there were 14 drones killed just by the Banshees, which is a lot of workers. DRG not as solid on his defense as he was in the first game. He still has a powerful army to control the map. He just needs a little bit more time, but Byun doesn't really want to allow his opponent to get into that spot. Now the Marines are taking these queens down. Oh, whoa, 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 were that Bailins? Definitely were 19 SCVs going down. I'm sorry I missed that, guys. That must have been pretty beautiful from DRG. But yeah, like, after all the effort Byun has put into his offense, trying to deal as much damage as possible, all crumbled down to a bunch of Banelings, absolutely destroying the economy in his fur base. You may think, yeah, Byun is just gonna drop a couple mules and be okay, right? Not really. He's still going to bleed a little bit from that, especially since what he needs the most right now is gas income, and that's something that's gonna be a little bit delayed for a while. The first store is out for the Red Terran, but DRG definitely has bought himself enough time to build a powerful army that can bring the fight to Byun. Steel Tors and Widow Mines. It's kind of a deadly duo for Banelings and Mutas. Still, Mutas is still sharking for damage. Byun splitting his army in 2 different locations. And more upgrades incoming for the Terran. Infantry armor and infantry weapons +2, as well as Kakasi shells. And of course, drilling claws for those Widow Mines. Byun not really looking forward to fight over there. Yeah, he's going to be forced to retreat, but he's going to lose one of his tanks and doesn't really have a lot of them. The Tor is a little bit too forward. Is he going to fall? Yes, he is. That's not a pretty fight on the side of Byun. These medivacs completely destroyed by the Mutas, and this army of DRG is suddenly making things happen on the map. After bleeding a little bit in the early game. Man, that was beautiful with the Banelings and the Mutas really dealing a lot of damage. The missile turret is going to go down. The rest of the army is going to come for the reinforcement. Another missile turret is going down, and that means a lot of SCVs are going down as well. DRG, man. This guy's oh my god, he's doing so much damage. He's bringing a fight. He doesn't even have +2 weapons. Well, attack for these Mutas. And look at this thing go. The starport is down. Half of the economy of Byun has been annihilated, and this rest of the army is not coming in there as quick as Byun wanted to. The tank and the Tors really doing their best to keep this Baneling and Mutas count low. But the Banelings are getting crazy good connections, and the Mutas are just destroying everything. GG gets called. What a game by DRG. It's time to head onto Lightshade for a match point situation, guys, here in the top left hand corner. As the Blue Zerg, the man leading the series, he only needs 1 victory out of the next 3 sets. Can he do it? It's DRG. His opponent in the red instead, from Team Shopify Rebellion, it is Byun. these men. Oh boy, 3 in a row against DRG. That's gonna be rough, buddy. That's gonna be rough. Nothing he can do, right? Like, if there's one player who performs incredibly good under pressure, that player is Byun. And I love this from DRG, acknowledging that his opponent might go for something scary like a proxy, even going for a drone scout. And that is all because he doesn't want to go for the 16 pool, which is the answer that most European Zergs actually do. After acknowledging their opponent can go for a proxy, they will go for the 16 pool, the 6 scouting links, and then be content with their archery being a little bit late. DRG, he doesn't want to skip a bit, and he wants his archery out as fast as possible, even with a lower income in the earlier stage with this drone scout. Byun is gonna go for an SCV scout of his own after his second command center is on the ground. He's gonna check the timing, knowing everything is alright. He's gonna head back home and prepare for his own early strikes. And of course, for his early scouting as well, with this Reaper making his way through the map. DRG going for the fast third archery. A little bit of a clash opener on the side of the Blues. He's keeping one overload to get the third archery a little bit quicker, having his own link speed delayed by a little bit, but still gonna have that pretty much around 410, 420. Maybe even a little bit later, depends on how he wants to play this out. So far, so good for DRG. Actually, oh wow, that is very beautiful. Hiding the Crypt Tumor over there, that's something I've never seen before, and I really like it. That's a good play on the side of DRG. Keeping his Crypt Tumor alive from harm, a little bit hidden from the vision of Byun, so you cannot really strike at it. But yeah, Byun is doing for something interesting over here, guys. He's been known for the 2 Rex opener, the 3 Rex opener sometimes. But you know what he's not really known for? His fusion cores. And that's one way to mix stuff up. With DRG not really being the overless scouter some other Zer players are. Banshee coming out of the starport. Well, no clock being researched actually, so nothing to hide right now. Nothing really hiding, more likely. The 2 Marines ready to strike at the overload. The first cruiser is on his way. DRG gonna drop down a lair. Again, a very early lair on his side, which is something I'm liking a lot actually. Seeing especially how Byun likes to go for not really tech heavy openers, so this time is gonna work a little bit more as well. So trying to rush some tech is gonna work even better for DRG, especially considering how his Spire play absolutely destroyed Byun in game number 2. And again, that's not really over the scouting coming from DRG. So nothing Byun really needs to be scared of. This play is going to be pretty much completely hidden. And once the first cruiser is out, you can see it over here. There's only one spore crawler. Who called in the fleet? Asks DRG. And the battle cruiser is already on the drones before anyone can answer. Only one drone falling so far. The extractor is going to be actually the prey of this battlecruiser, who's actually just chilling over there, waiting for the queens to come. No weapon refit, no Yamato cannon available. One queen is going to fall pretty much immediately before the other queens can even transfuse it. Another battlecruiser dancing around. Danger. Waiting for the queens to actually lose enough energy for more damage to be dealt. I think a couple aliens died as well over here in the natural. More damage trying to be dealt by Byun, but it's in the natural that trouble is incoming. The battlecruiser killing 4 drones and 2 queens so far. Oh, this base is in trouble. Is in deep trouble. DRG is sending part of his army through the map. The queens, are they gonna be here in time? Oh, I think they will not be here in time. The archery is going to be cancelled. And here comes tactical jump. The battlecruiser stays alive. Not a lot of damage. But still pretty annoying for DRG to deal with. So the lair is down, but you can see no real tech being made by DRG. You can see just this one piece of tech in Baneling speed being researched by DRG with his lair. So we're gonna see how the Zerg player is going to approach the next stage of the game. It's probably going to be a melee heavy army, considering his upgrades, considering the way he likes to play and the way he has played out the series so far. And also, honestly, seeing the battlecruiser, the lone battlecruiser, that's what I meant. He probably knows there's not much scare, more battlecruiser incoming. So he's gonna just try to have as much stuff on the ground as possible to answer Byun. He's gonna drop in the main, and there's not really much to contest over here. The battlecruiser again flying his way through the map here at the 4th base of DRG. Meanwhile, the lanes have reached the main base for the defense, but it's not gonna be a pretty fight over here without +1/+1. The battlecruiser again trying to take this archery down before it can be finished and then transfuse, but it's not gonna happen. Byun is gonna have to retreat from that location. Queens will have speed now on creep and will have a lot of energy to transfuse each other. Byun healing his marines up to full health over here, but this medevac is not really in great shape. He's going to be sent back home for repairs, while a spotting link over here to catch the cruiser moving out and moving in. Infestation pit incoming from DRG, really trying to skip as much tech as possible. Oh, Byun was not looking over there, and a lot of marines are gonna pay the price for it. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, the red Terran is looking to strike at this bruised archery in the bottom left. The queens are just moving out right now. It's not the best moment. Banelings are in the making. Will they be out on time? The tanks are sieged and the marines are steaming forward. One queen to be defeated. We have 3 shots at this archery. And you know what? I think it's going to fall. The second archery to die for DRG. One was cancelled. The other is just going to die. The Overlord is probably going to die as well. And now it's time for eggs and larva to pay the price for DRG mispositioning. The hidden drone is gonna fall as well. And now these 4 links are definitely not gonna have an easy time surviving these many marines. I don't think Byun wants to walk forward not right now. There's queens making their way. The tanks are in siege though, and they're getting a lot of pot shots. Even then though, it's not the best trade for Byun. Still gonna deal a lot of damage to his opponent. Nonetheless, the hive is incoming, as well as a Hydra Den trying to get into lurker tech as fast as possible. DRG really rushing the late game. But Byun has been dealing quite some solid damage. The 5th base was never down for enough time, and now another 5th base is gonna be dropped here in the top side of the map, being well defended by Banelings and Lings. Byun really not having an army on the top side ready to strike, but just preparing one. The Baneling trap. The Baneling trap. That's not gonna happen. It's just 2 marines. Not worth it. There's one Ling hidden over here, checking when this base is gonna go down. Meanwhile, tanks getting the shots. 3 of the tanks were not sieged actually, were unsieged, but still not a pretty fight on the side of DRG. Just looking to trade down supply to have his lurkers ready when the time is nigh. 2 changelings are gonna be immediately spotted. Oh yeah, that one scan though. The Baneling mine is no more. And now 2 Vipers and lurk attack are incoming from DRG. Byun though still has a very solid lead in the army department. DRG doesn't really look like he has what it takes to deal with the army of Byun for a long time. And that's probably what the Red Terran is looking forward to. Just resilience. Oh, this tank is not in a good spot. The Queens gonna go for the wraparound. They're gonna kill the Medivac. This is actually a very good trade for DRG. Finding a lone Medivac, not really able to escape. 3 ghosts on the way, as well as tactical cloak for them. The battlecruiser still finding some damage here and there. With Byun building up a free Medivac drop, ready to strike in the bottom left. These Queens are going to spot it, but they're probably not gonna be in time. The rest of the army ready to catch up with his army in the bottom left, which is probably just gonna be fighting with these Hydras and Banelings. Beautiful micro so far from Byun, killing the Banelings before they can get connections. But still, a lot of these Marines were killed before they can deal any real damage to DRG. Killing a couple Banelings, a couple Lings, a couple Hydras, even a couple Queens, just it doesn't cut it right now. DRG maxed out himself, now with Vipers out on the map. These Vipers are gonna be very important, dropping parasitic bombs onto those Medivacs, which are going to die over here in the bottom left alongside a bunch of Marines. DRG once again finds Medivacs full of units and kills them. Byun not really dealing any significant damage after those hatcheries being killed before. Now sensor towers being dropped, as well as missile turrets to stop the army of DRG from getting too close unnoticed. Does DRG actually have any lurkers on the map? He does not. He needs to trade down his army some way. And he needs to do it some way doesn't leaving, too undefended, I'd say. 46 more Banelings. Yeah, that's a good way. That's a good way to spend your gas and have some pretty solid units on the ground. Meanwhile, a couple Marines from Byun gonna try to slow down creep as much as possible. Now even Byun is just trading freely. This archery is a very bold one. I don't really think this archery is ever going to be mined from for a long time, especially since the sensor tower is actually covering the Vespene Geyser. Right now the battlecruiser is finally falling after bringing the fight to a little bit too many Queens. But now like even the structure upgrades are ongoing for Byun. Like he's really trying to spend his resources any way he can. Neo Steel and the missile turrets upgrades. Alright, that's a lot of Banelings though, and they're just detonating on everything they can. Meanwhile, the Vipers abducting the Liberators before they can siege down into any scary position. A lot of Banelings have been connecting on a lot of stuff. Only 3 workers have been killed, but so much of the ground army of Byun was absolutely annihilated, as well as the 2 Liberators out there for defense. Now DRG is maxed out again with 74 more lanes on the way. So again, 42 Banelings in the making. That's a lot of Banelings, yes, but that's not really the tech I was looking forward to. Still no use of those lurker upgrades and that lurker den that DRG has built into, excuse me, 44 Banelings plus 32. It's going to be 76 Banelings. 76 Banelings. That's enough to kill a nation, guys. Decimated the population of Byun. Oh yeah. Go for it, DRG. Roll them down. Yeah, 76. Not enough. Let's go for 89. Shall we? More Banelings rolling down the river for DRG. The ghosts are in deep trouble. They're going to cloak, but the Banelings do not care and just explode in their face. Again, 100 more lanes in the making. DRG just relentlessly sending wave after wave of Banelings. This looks a little bit more like a campaign mission that it should. Yeah, Byun is seriously bleeding from this. His army is not really recovering from that too quickly. Even though Byun right now is trying to make as many tanks, ghosts and liberators as possible to minimize the losses. There's going to be so many Banelings rolling down. DRG building up an important mineral bank, not really having a lot of gas in the bank though. Now planetary fortress and tanks are gonna help against these Banelings, not really getting the crazy connections we've seen before. Still a lot of Banelings are alive, another planetary is gonna help a lot, but not before the economy of Byun is going to be completely destroyed. 20 more SCVs are going to be killed by the Blizzard. It's a little bit too late for that though, since most of these workers are just going to be replaced by mules. And now Byun just looks to build an insanely strong army to bring the fight to DRG. Byun is just holding, just turtling down, waiting for the next wave of Banelings, which is lowering in number time after time. Like right now, it's just going to be 40. 50. But yeah, that's not the 90 we've seen before, it's just 50. And honestly, Byun still on a pretty comfortable 108 army supply with lots and lots of marauders on the ground, as well as a couple tanks and liberators to deal with the Banelings. Planetary fortress being spread around and repaired to deal with the army of Byun. Meanwhile, a scanning here in the bottom left will confirm there's a full mining base from DRG, who's not really collecting gas from here, and that is the most important resource in this game. Internet sucks over here, so don't worry about that message. Meanwhile, the Banelings are clamping up in number again. How many is that? It's 78. Here comes an abduct. And the Hydras make short work of that one single tank. Meanwhile, missile weapons free is in the making for DRG. So many Banelings rolling into this ramp once again. The Ghost trying to scramble backwards to deal with the Banelings with minimal losses. This spread from Byun has been absolutely crazy. That is quite possibly the best trade you can get. It's an even trade, but DRG again, 100 links in the making is just links. It can't go on with this forever, thinks Byun, and I think it's correct. Byun has been losing a lot of gas intense units, and is not really been able to replace those units as quickly as it was before. Now Liberator is going to be the scare play from Byun into this base, but yeah, an abduct is gonna come. And the Hydras are just gonna clean house. The tank though, the tank is in a perfect position to just shoot at the Spore Clorer and the Extractor if he needs to. DRG preparing another round of Banelings. I seriously do not think this is worth the effort for DRG. Oh, wait. It's time for nukes on the side of Byun, and nukes can quickly change the tide of this game, really. Even if it's just one well-placed nuke onto the army of DRG, who's not really been too elusive so far, that might change the game. Oh, Shockwave EMP for the Queens. Oh, the nuke. Oh, the nuke is gonna definitely kill this base. I think this wasn't even the first nuke. Oh, the Vipers though. The Vipers need to get away from there. So many snipes. The base actually barely survives. Now the Concussed Shell Marauders get on the ground to finish his archery. Come on. Come on, kill it. Yeah. Alright, it goes down. 7 drones have been killed as well. And finally, this base in the bottom right for DRG was cleaned after staying alive for, honestly, a little bit too much time. Like, that was so close to the base of Byun. He should have dealt with it quicker. I think there were 3 nukes being involved in that, but yeah, it's been so much action so far. Another round of Banelings. Here they go. Will they find the ghost? They're not even getting close enough to that. It's just some tower defense from Byun so far. And this wave doesn't go through. 21 SCVs have been killed, yes. But so many ghosts are still alive. And it's, again, 110 leads. Have we seen a single lurker in this game? No, we have not, guys. That tech was completely useless for DRG. And Byun probably is thinking, yeah, thank you, mate. I'd rather deal with 90 millions at a time and just build my tower defense Sin City instead of just dealing with lurkers. And this game has been a little bit too wild. It's 22 minutes of just, yeah, like, more Banelings. Who the heck cares? 43 plus 8, it's 51 Banelings. This next round is not as bulky as the previous one, and you can see for the first time in this game, Byun's bank resources are more than the one of DRG. Oh yeah, more Banelings. How many is that? Yeah, 76. Still getting to a count of 80 every single time. Can he do this forever? I don't really think he can. What happens when one round goes badly and Byun just strikes at him? Because this one round has been looking a little bit too predictable. Beautiful blinding clouds on the side of DRG though are gonna make the fight a little bit harder on Byun again. Though, like you can see, the Knights going on to everything they can find, Overseers, Banelings alike. These Vipers are in the open, the tanks have gone down. Yes, the tower defense from Byun is not really working as well as it was before. But DRG again, it's just Lings. It's Lings and Banelings, Lings and Banelings. And it's not really making a dent. How does DRG win this game? Yeah, I think this is just a Hail Mary on the side of DRG, sending a lot of Lings in. It might look like there's not a lot of defenses on the side of Byun, but I really think there are. Planetary Fortress being spread around, that's a lot of ghosts as well. And honestly, what does DRG even have? It's just Banelings and Lings. What is going on over here? Is it time for one last round? I think it is. Oh, and Byun even starting in the bottom left, trying to take control of that base. Oh my goodness. Abduct being used. It's do or die, I think, for Byun. Well, for DRG as well. 14 more workers have been killed. Alright, DRG, what are you doing, man? That's so many tanks, that's so many tanks. Can he get on top of them? He's going to try and go for the ghost, but all of the tanks stay alive. And now the ghosts are free to snipe on top of the Hydras. DRG gets gold. What a disaster. Byun takes his first game of the series. Going to Oblivion for game number 4 of this series. Here in the bottom left hand corner. The Blue Zerg for Team Envy is currently spawning. Make some noise for DRG. One game away from clinching the series. In the opposite corner, in the red, from Shopify Rebellion, is the Terran legend, Byun. Of course, DRG is a legend too. Couldn't ready. See the comment? Yes, they're both legend, guys. I know. Right, again, the spotting drone, the scouting drone, to check for proxies, which is interesting. Oblivion is a very wide map. Might not really have a super long rush distance. Like, it's fairly short. There's not really a lot of obstacles. It's a little bit of side blockers, but not much. But it's very wide. Like you can see over here, like, yeah, this is air space, that airspace as well. It's still a very wide map. Especially with the base locations being kind of well contained into some pockets of terrain, right? Especially here with rocks and the high ground, of course. Here, there's not really a lot of ground to work with, especially with the ramp. This base is a little bit more enclosed than the others as well, with only one direction, not really colliding with anything else. And this is arguably the most open location, which is saying a lot, because like there's a ramp over here, side blockers, not a lot of road you can walk in over here. Yeah, it is exposed from the high ground. That's pretty much all you can work with. And it really makes sense in a couple matchups. See the infamous triple Rex opener from Byun. Something I was definitely looking forward coming into this series. It's honestly one of the most solid builds that Byun can bring to the table. Of course, he got a win. A weird win as well, because like he wasn't really rich. Supplies were kind of even. The DRG probably thought he was more behind than he was, but yeah, he lost a little bit too much in the one final engagement. He was growing a little bit desperate. Like, that game was weird AF. So probably Byun knows his beginning stages were not as clean as you wanted them to be. He's just resetting to something he's feeling more confident with, trying to bring this series to a 5th game, which is going to be played regardless, once again, even if DRG wins this game here and therefore wins the series. Game number 5 is going to be played nonetheless, but still with no stakes. So Byun definitely wants to win this game and have some stakes in the 5th game of the series. It's so incredibly hard to just get anything done against a player on 3 bases over here, which is mostly what the Terran player wants to do in every stage of the... not every stage, sorry, every matchup of this game. Even though it's not a big map as far as rush distance goes, it's definitely not a Terran map. It's way too enclosed to be a good Terran map. You know what? Like, Terrans can work with enclosed spaces better than other races can. But they're not really happy when a base is too easy to defend, and a good baneling positioning can go a long way. DRG is spreading lanes pretty much everywhere, trying to keep up a lot of vision. He's going to scout the army of Byun moving out, so he's going to drop immediately the double Evo chamber, seeing that's just a lot of marines. He's going to retreat his scouting lanes to have some stuff back home for defense. Scan forward to allow these marines to kill as many creep tumors as possible. There's no medivac, so every single tick of damage is permanent on this. So is this team. The transfuses are going on top of every single queen who needs it. And this battle is definitely not going in favor of the Terran. Still, 2 queens are falling down, and that's not too shabby. You can see the trade still being somewhat favorable to Byun. Even though these units are not irreplaceable for any of the 2 players, lowering the amount of units in defense of DRG is going to be very important for the next stages, in which Byun definitely wants to put his foot on the throttle. Both players working around each other, killing rocks. That's a cute moment. That's... I mean... killing the rocks makes you work with as less RNG as possible. Like, you know what is going on that side of the map. You can walk in it, you know you can play around it, so it makes sense. But I do think that this is a favor to DRG more than it is to Byun. I know you can... Actually, you want to walk in there as Byun to abuse this high ground location, but yeah, engaging in this base is not really the easiest thing. Yeah, you got one tank, you can hide behind those rocks, which are going to be killed by DRG sooner rather than later. You can actually strike at this 4th base, which is pretty significant, but DRG can really go for a wraparound with his army. It's going to be very difficult to deal with. Of course, this ramp over here, it's really deadly in the hands of a good Terran player, so this base is going to fall regardless of what DRG can and cannot do at this stage of the game. 2 more wrecks incoming for Byun, who's really looking forward to build as much army as possible to strike over here at the 3rd base. But DRG is building his Baneling army and getting centrifugal hooks to get on top of that choke point as fast as he can. Now DRG trying to go for the wraparound. The lanes are going to get on top of the tank and the Marines. Byun leaves a few strugglers behind and keeps the rest of his army alive to fight another day. One Ling is gonna scout forward, check what is going on, and the rest of the Banelings are gonna find a lot of damage onto these Marines if left unchecked. Of course, the micro from Byun was pretty good, and right now, not even microing, he's going to kill every single Ling. Now it's only the Queens left standing. Actually, this wasn't the best fight for DRG. Wasn't the best fight for Byun too, losing the tank immediately. These Marines do not have a lot of health. The Medivacs might have a lot of energy, but that's just a lot of Queens out right now. So yeah, Byun just retreats from there. It was sloppy from both sides, to be honest. It definitely can happen after a 24 minutes long game, so it's pretty no big deal if both players kind of mess up on engagement a little bit, especially since it was pretty even so far. Alright, now it's Liberators time. DRG trying to look for the tanks. He's gonna find one in the open. The Banelings will not find anything though, and it will just roll away. Maybe try to find some SCVs instead of the Marines. The SCVs are gonna try to hide in a corner, but there's no hiding from the Banelings. And this is going to be deadly damage to Byun. Now on 49 workers. And that's very little to work with, especially considering DRG already has an army back home for defense. Now more Banelings are trying to do their best and getting connections with Marines and tanks alike. 18 SCVs, a tank is falling as well right now. Byun striking in the 4th base of DRG, which is going to be cancelled. There's another base, actually it was the 5th base, sorry. But you can see 40 lanes in the making for DRG. Now 21 SCVs have been killed. And look at DRG still looking to cut off reinforcements from the main army of Byun, who's just left in the middle of this map without really having anything to reinforce it. Meanwhile, Byun enclosed in his natural 32 SCVs falling down. This damage is pretty much final. I don't really see Byun recovering from this unless he finds a way to deal immense amount of damage very quickly. DRG just doesn't care, he's sending more and more waves of lanes and Banelings through the map. This is even more relentless than the game before. There's one tank on the high ground to stop this from happening, but here it comes, the Doom drop from the Terran player. Going actually in the 4th base. Not too sure about this, there's a whole army waiting for this moment exactly. The tank and the Liberators doing their best to keep the Banelings away, but there's just too many of them. The Leans come to the rescue as well. Now it's the Queens against the Liberators. Can they get him in time? A couple of Queens already falling down. Meanwhile, the rest of the army of Byun unloading here in the main. He will not find anything too significant though. And again, it's really feeling like Byun is desperately looking for damage, but he's not really finding any. One SCV into that Medivac as well. It's going to fall with these lanes and Bane lanes, and you can see Byun desperately looking for damage, not finding any. The Spore Crawler is still alive in the 4th base, meaning that Byun cannot unload his Medivacs over there. And now you know what, DRG is pretty much in full control. More workers and more army, and he's sending half of it through, well, 80% of it through the map. He might not have a lot of Bane lanes to bring down the wall, but it's not really much for defense for Byun, is there? The lanes trying to make way for the Bane lanes. The wall is down. A little bit of a mistake on the side of Byun, and now DRG again says, you know what? Yeah, who cares about your army? It's your SCVs that I want. And now, after 22 more kills, Byun, it's at 36 workers. He might have put a lot of pressure onto DRG with his relentless attack. But DRG didn't care. He felt safe, he felt cold and confident. And constantly stroked at that 3rd base. 54 workers killed by the Zerg player. Doesn't care about being efficient with his trades. He's just sending another wave of units. And this time, it's probably for good. I think this series is over for Byun, and DRG is very close to clinch the victory in his hands. GG gets cold, and DRG is the winner of the series. As I've said before, all 5 maps are going to be played regardless of the result, and DRG resulted to be the winner with a 3-1 score so far. Now it's up to Byun to make it a 3-2 and up to DRG to make it a 4-1. We're starting off here on Blackburn with a proxy, but it's something that is not gonna work out because DRG has been drone scouting every single game after that one proxy. And that one proxy on 1000 Atmospheres was scouted by the Overlord pretty much immediately. This proxy location is not even that great from Byun. Right, there are better proxy locations. You can see drones being sent out to even stop one of these wrecks from going down. There's a second SCV being sent out to help. Meanwhile, the first wrecks that was placed has already been finished. It's up a little bit to do RNG as well for these SCVs to be in position. The first Marine is in the making. You can see DRG, without even expending too much of his own resources, is already stopping a lot of the prowess of these proxy. Oh, that SCV, oh, the RNG! He's in a place he can attack. No, it's not. Beautiful play from Byun, actually. A little bit of banter between the two. Byun really microing out of his mind over there, killing the 2 drones, but of course that one Rex is going to be very late to the party. And you can see just 1 Marine, not even SCVs sent to drop down a bunker. And honestly, with a factory back home, Byun is not really putting a lot of effort into these at all. DRG already has an overload for scouting once the time comes. And honestly, he's playing like this proxy doesn't even exist. Like, he's gonna have a queen out very soon. He just has the 4 links. Oh, actually he has 8. He's blocking for Reapers as well, which is clever on his side. Is not the hugest answer to this he can possibly do. Like, he's gonna have a little bit more links than you usually have and a little bit less drones. But that's just because of Larva. His expense is really not too much. Larva is an important resource in the early game, but Byun not really doing much out of his early efforts. Not that this is going to slow him down that much, but yeah. Of course, you want to have a cleaner opener nonetheless. Not DRG might have made a little bit too many lanes, but yeah, of course, he wants to be safe around that. And he wants to drop down a 3rd base as quick as possible. Now a lot of lanes are going to die to get his wraparound. Byun really microing these out of his mind, killing a lot of lanes. before the Marines have been killed. It's 6 lanes being killed actually, it's not that many. 6 lanes for 6 Marines is not really the best of trades for Byun. And you can see the supply for DRG is really getting a little bit out of control. It's a Viking first for Byun as well. To stop scouting, but there's not really much to scout. I'm not really sure. Like even like a few seconds earlier, those medivacs might have actually made a little bit of a difference. Oh, so it's just more Marines. The Viking is going to find the Overload. Oh, yeah, you can see DRG dropping down the Evo Chamber. I don't know if he's going to drop another one like very soon. It's very early for this, and honestly I don't really see Byun putting a lot of pressure on the map even with this kind of attack, since DRG has had so much time to prepare for this, and it was a preparation that was mostly uncontested as well. Like the early proxy, those early Marines didn't really do much. Like yeah, this fur base, it's not the earliest you can get, but it's not even that late. Carabas is in the making, it's very early as well. It's probably going to be a layer up as soon as DRG can afford it. This Viking, yes, kill an Overload, but there's not much to scout, there's not much to find, there's not many Overloads scattered around. Yeah, it's looking a little bit like a desperate game on the side of Byun even after the proxy. Weird positioning, not really much to be done with it. I don't really know. The lair has been dropped indeed by DRG, trying to advance to the next stage, trying to have Baneling speed when he needs it. And now Byun sending 2 full medivacs out, looking to deal some damage. Baneling nest being placed exactly when DRG needs it to start centrifugal hooks as soon as the lair finishes. Byun is not gonna find a way into the main, he's gonna try to stop the creep tumors from expanding too far, or maybe he's going to try and lower the queen count. The Viking has been landed as well to fight alongside the Marines, but the queens are going to be just transfuse each other. The Viking is going to fall to the lings and the queens, and you see these Marines not really doing much. Byun really producing just units right now. Even the NG Bay was a little bit on the late side. Infantry weapons +1. He's on the Megan. He's probably looking for a timing attack with that. But again, like the timing is not really as soon as Byun wanted to. DRG uncontested for so long. And yeah, now even these tanks are a little bit exposed. DRG sharking for damage with his lanes, dropping down a 4th base, while Byun has just started his 3rd. Queens are in position to deal with the lanes. Finally, the creep tumors have been slowed down by quite a fair amount. But yeah, here in the main, there's not much defenses. Byun might actually find something over here. Loading the Marines into the main. The Queens are already in position, but so are the tanks. Right now, dropping down a scan to stop the creep from reaching up to that far point for these Queens. The Spore Collar is not really in a good spot, and the Queens are gonna be just shoot away by the tanks. The Spore Collar actually survived. The rest of the Marines striking over here at this base. The lanes though are closing in. There's just Queens for defense here. One of the Queens is going to fall, but it's not the biggest of blows, especially since this attack over here is not really gonna cut it. Now Byun is gonna try to unload even more units into the main, but the concave is perfect. Couple Queens are falling here and there. Transfuse is going left and right. The 2 Queens are still going to fall, alongside a bunch of Marines. DRG though, I don't really see this defense being too difficult for him. Lings are trying to chase down the Marines, scouting left and right. But of course, right now they're just gonna wait for the right moment to drop on top of those tanks and stop this attack altogether, alongside the Queens preparing the concave already. This medevac over here trying to go for some damage once the army of DRG moves out, but the army of DRG is already on top of the reinforcements. The tank siege a little bit too late, and all of the reinforcements are gonna be cut by DRG once more. The army in the top left is forced to lift again inside the medivac, and now Byun is looking to actually disengage from here. Yeah, that's too little too late. He's only been making army so far, but DRG is looking for the reinforcements constantly. The Queen's bringing the fight again to the Marines with the tanks, helping bring down Crypt Tumors and Spore Crawlers alike. DRG building a huge army at the doorstep of his opponent, but now he's looking for the moment to collapse over the tanks. And that's probably gonna be it. Byun sends another 2 medivacs on the top left. Meanwhile, DRG building up the concave, building up the surround. He's gonna be sending the Queens in to get on top of the medivacs. Both the medivacs actually die. Now it's just the tanks without vision, and they're just immediately going to fall to these Queens without any single opportunity to retaliate. There's not enough bases to drop scans for free, so Byun is just gonna sack those tanks and strike over here top left using this scan to stop the Crypt Tumors from bringing Queens to the other side of the gold base. But DRG is striking over here. The wall is down. The Banelings collapse over the Marines, and GG gets gold. Another clean victory for DRG.